the second. We're forwarding things on, we are good.
Very good. Sam, could you please call the meeting to order?
Adequate notice that this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by advertising the annual meeting notice to the official newspapers, providing a copy of the agenda to the newspapers, and posting a copy of the agenda at Borough Hall.
Thank you very much. Could I have a roll call, please?
Dwyer.
Here.
Poverty.
Here.
Hurd. Howard.
Here.
Meyer. Redding. Conco.
Here.
Branson.
Here.
Stenbacher.
Here.
Eckel.
Here. And by way of having gone through the roll call, I will introduce to I think, the one person who wasn't here to shake his hand early enough, that Chris Dwyer is our new, and Ted Carroll, he's one of our attorneys.
I know he's excited to be here.
So, I learned my lesson years ago. It's nice to actually introduce people who are sitting at the table. It makes so much more sense. Can we move on to the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on July 23rd?
I'll move the minutes.
Thank you, Jean. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, John. Are there any comments or corrections to the minutes as they stand? Hearing none, could I vote to adopt the minutes, please?
Dwyer.
Abstain.
Doherty.
Yes.
Hurd.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Conco.
Yes.
Branson.
Yes.
Stenbacher.
Yes.
Eckel.
Yes. Moving on to public comment. This is the portion of the meeting where the public can address the board on issues not on this evening's agenda. I see we have one member of the public. Would you like to address the board tonight on any item not on the agenda?
I would, thank you very much.
You would?
Yes, I would.
All right, if you could stand and state your name, please.
Hi, my name is Michael Odenwald. I live at 19 and 25 Rissler Street in Stockton. I have been more than a frequent person to Frenchtown. I've been in this area for 8 years.
Would you spell your last name for?
Odenwald. In the interest of time, I will say that I am investing with Chris Hilty, who owns a merge gallery. And we're looking to redevelop that site. And we're looking to do so in complete consistency with the facade and for the, we'll just call it the feel and vibe of Frenchtown. And he has been an owner of the property for quite some, well, he just purchased the property. He's been renting the property for quite some time. And he has approached me to invest in the property because he knows that I have means of making it a very strong community impact and economic development. And as a result, we want to collaborate and understand what the plan is, although I've looked at it, so meaning that I've found some of it out, but looking at the TPS and SRTS project that has been in place now for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and looking at the streetscape and how that impacts the corner. And as a result of that beautification, we have an opportunity to make that a cornerstone for what has already been done by Dorsey and Mike Margulies. So we see an opportunity to do something that cements a beautification for a part of the town that hasn't been touched.
So you're talking about on the corner of Race and Route 12?
Boom. Yes, right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
His antique rugs, all that stuff going, yes, okay.
Iron.
Iron.
Chris Hilty is a master welder and artist. No one knows him. Very few people know him here, and it's probably, I could go across the entire council, like, who's Chris Hilty? But he's become a friend of mine, and he truly is an artist. And he uses that as a means of bringing beautiful things in, letting people take beautiful things out, and do, you know, wonderful things with them. A lot of metal, as you would incline. So I'm here only to represent that the intentions for all of our activity with the planning board going forward, bringing the right professionals, spending the right monies, and collaborating in every way possible with the planning board to do what is right for the town's best interest for the long term.
What's your thoughts of what's gonna be there? And what are you guys talking about? putting there?
Sure. Well, it is a retail business.
Yeah,
We're not looking at changing it too much.
okay,
But full disclosure, as you'll always hear from me, transparency, I look to be a dispensary. I'm a cannabis entrepreneur. I am far down the road in Stockton. I have done an economic development plan for this town. I've done a community impact for this town. I've done it for Milford. I've done it for Stockton. So the opportunities for Frenchtown to have a responsible, locally owned versus multi-state owned, like Phillipsburg and now Lambertville, a locally owned business that will generate more than likely $100,000 a year for the town. We're willing to invest $1 million in order to give back $1 million by virtue of the 2% tax that sits on every sale. $100,000 a year, just to finish the question, is, and I didn't expect to get there tonight, but transparency is important. Timing, transparency, and trust. Timing's right. Transparency, you have a full transparency with a property owner who is committed to the town. So it's about trust. And trust comes, as whatever way you want to weigh it. But also, I think before I field any questions, which I'm totally open to, I come at this not as a cannabis or a weed guy. I come at this as a person who's come to understand economic development, where taxes come from. Cannabis is the only tax that you can levy in this town ever. Again, until the law changes, until they allow mushrooms or something that's just, another whole thing. And I say that because I don't see it happening at any time soon. But you have a pharmacy and you have a dispensary, and you have beautification to happen in the middle. The dispensary will last longer than the pharmacy. Inevitably. Your prescribed pharmaceuticals will be delivered. Amazon will bring them to you. CVS will bring them to you. It's inevitable. So I say this only to look at the long term of this decision and the reason to have locally committed people versus multi-state operators to come in and run a business that's not thinking about the community. So a lot of friends here. I've established a lot of credibility over the past 2 years when I first tried this and I was inexperienced. And now I've got 2 years of justification and data and experience and backing and funding and a property owner that wants to work with the town. So it couldn't be a better position because I'm doing all the heavy lifting. What I need now is the town to work with us, to collaborate, to understand that we want to be part of the beautification that's happening with this project. And there's 2 light posts that go in that corner. And right now that those light posts become part of the continuation and capping of what is a beautification of the town. So that's what I want to do. It's not just a beautiful business, but it's a business that will pay a significant amount of rateables to the town and done in a responsible way. And I hope this is well received and it's something that can be discussed collaboratively. And I represent that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you
Yes, Ted?
familiar with the work?
Ted,
the-
hold on,
I just wanted to address the board. Full transparency and disclosure. My office has previously represented Mr. Odenwald. It's nice to meet you in person. I'm Steve Grunberg's associate.
Okay.
It doesn't raise to a level of a conflict because you are appearing as a member of the public, giving public comment. But to be determined at a later time, should you appear as an applicant, we may need to consider
He's a conflict
getting
attorney.
a conflict attorney.
I have, as a result of this specific, after finding out, after looking to retain, we have C-Star retainment. Steve Grunberg is no longer, and I'm no longer a retained client of his. And I did that specifically after finding out, like, oh my gosh. No, okay. So you're fired. It was like, not that I wanted to do that. I looked to retain Steve for another town. But yeah, he's no longer retained in that regard.
Well, I think it might make sense because I think I can still look to Ted for guidance on this. I think we want to be very careful that we're not getting into too many of the weeds here and too much detail of this because we're really you're just introducing a project. So I'm a little concerned that we get too deep into asking questions. But when you are ready, perhaps this might be an opportunity for us to have a technical review committee get together and discuss with you where the town stands with its, which it sounds like you probably already know, but where they stand with their cannabis ordinance, and how the downtown legalization program, is moving forward and how it might affect that corner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It seems to me that that might be a logical direction for us to go, when you're ready to do that. Does that make sense, sir?
I agree 100%, and my coming here today was just to represent myself as someone who wants to collaborate,
Mhm.
not wants to do anything other than hear feedback, understand what needs to be done from a facade perspective, and a commitment in knowing that the continuation of what Dorsey Redding has established in this town and the beautification of it continues. As I said to him specifically, let's finish the job, right? This is the corner, it's the end, and the beginning. So didn't expect to get into the cannabis part of it, but in full transparency, that's what you're gonna hear from us, because we have nothing to hide, only to give.
Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. It's been a
Just
pleasure.
a question, a point for your information. I assume you're up to speed, up to date with all the work and discussion that has gone on in the council regarding this?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was the person who started 2 years ago to introduce this, and I've learned a lot. And I'm back 2 years after learning a lot, and I know what shouldn't be done, and I know what should be done or considered, and it really comes down to collaboration. And that some towns want that, some towns don't. But yet the economic development remains the same. This is never gonna come around again. And if it's not me, it's gonna be somebody else.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it's
your
been a
company.
pleasure. It's very nice, though we haven't met formally. I'm glad that you were able to clarify that there's no conflict of interest with anything. So it's a fresh start.
At this time, no conflict to be determined at this
Right.
time,
But
if
it's
you're
not-
hearing is a,
Right.
right?
Sure,
And
sure.
so.
I can say as the individual.
Yes,
There's no conflict of interest. Yeah, I think in just closing, what I wanted to state is that I've looked at the drawings, the TPS and the SRTS. I could give you the project wrong, but I've looked to see where the sidewalk goes and how that works. Chris and I want to contribute to the beautification of what's in the middle. I think it'd be a sculpture garden. It could be a visitor center. It could be a park. It could be something that gives people reason to sit down and enjoy, and nothing to do with cannabis, but with continuation of the town. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you
All
much.
right, take care. Bye now.
Right, well, given that he was the only member of the public here, we're going to close the public comment portion of the meeting. So I'm always surprised when I ask if a member of the public actually wants to speak, and they do, like, what do you say?
What do I do?
Well, it doesn't happen too often. Moving on to the variance application for block 57, lot 431 Front Street, Susan Switter. Now, we have a memo before us from Bob Clerico. I have had conversations with Bob Clerico, and Bob Clerico has had conversations with the applicant regarding this. I think anyone who glanced at the memo can see that
Go to the last paragraph.
Go to the
Well,
last
I love-
paragraph.
I love Bob's letters.
Yeah,
The last
the
paragraph.
last paragraph. The application is incomplete. So unless, and since we have no applicant here, we shouldn't really even discuss the application in any detail whatsoever. I think
We can't even deem it incomplete? if
we
they're
can.
not- Okay.
I just don't think we can discuss the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah.
And I think, the applicant understands that it's incomplete, and our attorney understands it's incomplete, and our planner understands it's incomplete, and our engineer understands it's incomplete. So our position here this evening, is there a motion to deem this application incomplete?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Ted. Is there any further comment on the motion? Hearing none, could I have a vote, please?
Dwyer,
Yes.
Dougherty,
Yes.
Herb,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Bronco,
Yes.
Branston,
Yes.
Stenblicker.
Yes.
Echo.
Yes. Moving on to new business, I have nothing under new business, I don't think of, unless, I think we're good to move past that one, so we're gonna go on to old business. The Affordable Housing committee update, which is really more the affordable housing. It's not really so much a committee anymore, but Darlene is not here. We have no update on that. And I did not hear anything. I don't believe we have had any challenges. And the challenges were going to come in. I think the deadline was the end of August, if I recall correctly. So last I heard, no challenges. We'll wait for the final update from Darlene in September on that. The council committee, the Borough Committee, which is the age-friendly Frenchtown, this is no longer a planning board committee, this is really a municipal committee. But I still, and I didn't warn Jean of this, Jean is sort of keeping the committee all together and moving forward. Can you give an extremely brief
Yeah.
overview of what's going on?
So the committee had its first meeting, has another meeting later in September. I envision it sort of meeting monthly. The project has to be done by June. Essentially looking at now to like January as a time to do listening to the community. I'll come back to that in a minute. And then sort of January to March, April or so as an opportunity to try to look at, strategies to address some of the challenges that we hear about. And then writing up an action plan towards the end, sort of May, June. So in terms of the listening part of this, one thing that we've done, we have a contract in place with Rutgers to provide some technical assistance. They're starting to document existing current services that are available. It goes on our theory that there are more services available to older Frenchtown residents than people are aware of. And so that has started and we're vetting it with like 10, 11, 12 different agencies in the Flemington area. So that's in place. There'll be a community survey, which we're hoping to launch in October. And the committee will be doing outreach and assistance, particularly to older residents to complete the survey, but it'll also be available online. The Rutgers folks will do the analysis of the survey and the collating of the survey. The mayor will host one of his town halls dedicated to this topic, and we're zeroing in on October 11th, but I'm currently looking for a couple of different sort of accessible space in town to host that. At that, we'll have committee members there to help people fill out the survey. And then, then the committee identified a list of a lot of people, like 15 people or so, who are kind of community leaders or business owners who engage with older residents on a regular basis. And we're going to be conducting a series of conversations with them to hear from them as to, what they see some of the challenges are for older residents. So we're kind of in listening mode right now. I think that's it.
That's about it.
Okay.
Jean, just an offer. I'm having dinner in a couple of weeks with the Hartford Foundation's Director of Grants for Community Aging Programs.
Okay.
So if there's any particular information or, questions you'd like or find out I'm happy to.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I just stay in touch with them. So we'll get to June if there's things that we need money for.
Yeah.
Right. We're also now part of because the council adopted the resolution to make us part of the national AARP age friendly network. I think we're actually the first municipality in the county to do that. And I think we're like the 1006th community globally to do it. So that's kind of a perk, and AARP also lets us know about funding opportunities too. Like I get many emails every day from them.
So once we get some action items, that will be really handy to have some funding opportunities available.
So it's yet another committee that Chris is so happy to be on.
It's amazing what you're volunteering for.
Volunteer? I'm not sure I volunteer.
I was on a committee like that recently, and I was like, welcome to that. I was on that committee.
Very persuasive.
Very good. Thank you, Jean. And I have to point out that she managed to pull off that meeting in August,
Yeah, that
which
was,
is,
and everyone except one person made it.
yeah, no, which was really quite impressive.
Yeah,
And she fast.
and there was something, right.
And cooking. And escrow fee update. Now, I just want to introduce this tonight. Sam has done a bunch of work and greatly improved on what we had before, so I'm gonna pass this around because it's a whole lot easier to read than printing it off on your own computer. So,
Wow.
oh, there we go, there we go. I
Very
feel that now.
fancy.
Um,
Holy cow.
so this is, I want to discuss this in September, because this is going to take a little bit of digesting. I'm expecting everyone to use highlighters on this and do things, but the point being is that we have a Frenchtown current and a Frenchtown proposed category. Those are the first two columns. And then you can see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other municipalities compared nearby. I'd like everybody to sort of take a, instead of turning this into a working meeting while we all try to grind these numbers, I'd like everybody to take a look at this. And we're gonna try to address this with some, to adopt some recommendations or tweak some numbers at our September meeting. So this is homework
amazing. Thank
for
you.
everybody to do. Yep, yeah, last time
This
we
is
only
lovely.
did,
Good
Yeah.
job, Sam.
yeah, beautiful job. Last time I think we did Kingwood, Milford, Lambertville and Holland. Did we do Highbridge also?
No, I wanted you to have the surrounding towns and then smaller boroughs.
Yeah, we had Alexandria, but we didn't have those outliers, yeah.
Correct.
So yeah, this is wonderful. Really appreciate all the work
Awesome,
that
Sam.
went into this and, everybody, sharpen your pencils. Because we're gonna be asking your opinion about this in September.
Okay.
This is a printout of a spreadsheet.
I have it in Excel. Yeah,
Is it something that can you share
You,
those?
you sent that out, didn't you already, or did it just go to me?
I just sent it to.
Okay.
because-
Yeah,
But yeah, I will send it to everybody.
yes, that would be wonderful.
And a quick question, do the blank cells indicate that there's no change proposed?
On the Frenchtown proposed?
Right.
Yeah, I just put in numbers I thought from, having to ask people for money all the time. I'm just like, happy with increasing those numbers, I just didn't wanna be a little too overzealous.
So the blanks are for us to fill in.
Yeah, or if you wanted to keep them the same,
Yeah,
because
we're
I've
happy
never
to see.
experienced those, so I don't,
Got it.
you know what I mean?
Because as we've discussed before, this is not, and I want to make this clear, particularly to anyone who might be listening online or hears this recording, this is not, these are escrow fees. This is not some sort of a money grab. This is so that applications, first of all, so that applications, the fees associated with applications actually pay for our professionals to do what they need to do regarding applications instead of having that money then wind up coming out of the borough's budget. But also, many of these fees, if you put in a escrow and it's not all used, you get it back at the end of the day.
Is that
Yeah.
true? I mean, some of these are just fees, just plain old.
Some of these are fees.
So we should know which ones are fees and which.
Our application.
Yes,
fees,
the
and then
escrow,
that-
escrow starts there in blue.
Oh,
There
okay.
goes the escrow.
Okay, nice.
But this is basically so that we can cover the costs of our professionals and cover the cost of office space and make it clear to applicants what this may likely cost them, instead of being like, oh yeah, you can get a variance for $50 and that's not our fee. And then having not only they are confused as the price continues to go up because that pays for like a quarter of an hour of a professional. But also, it's a complete waste of Sam and the office staff space because they're constantly having to go back and back and back and back and back to applicants to try to get escrow fees refilled. So this is not a money grab. We're simply trying to cover the costs of applications in a realistic way.
And if you can keep in mind, the last 3 applications you guys had before the borough, the escrow fees were all over $8,000.
At least one of those would have probably been more efficient had they gotten professionals of their
Yes,
own.
I just,
But as we discussed somewhat ad nauseum earlier this year, it's much more efficient when applicants have their own professionals because then they can work through the process much more efficiently. Have a planner that can establish proofs instead of having our professionals trying to walk them through the process, which is not efficient.
But it is very unclear if you don't know about this process.
Oh, yeah.
It is, but when they come in for the applications, they are advised of that by the office staff, that this is an unusual way to go about it if you don't get a professional. So, you are quite right. The learning curve can be steep, but that's why we advise them that it's gonna be, in the end, it will be more cost effective for them to have professionals than to try to muddle through without. So, take a look at it, sharpen your pencils. We're gonna discuss this in September and hopefully come to some decisions in September.
Okay.
Moving on to the sign committee update, this,
I'm assuming the action to make any changes to councils and that, so we make a.
we would make a recommendation and then council would make that change. So yeah, it's a multi-month process. But we will, the second step, the same as on the first step. The second step will be for us to settle on some numbers and then recommend changes to the ordinance, because this is in the ordinance. These fees are all in the ordinance. So we'll make those recommended changes to council. Any other questions on that?
I have one more question, which
Yes.
is, do you know, I just glancing over this, I don't see it. Do you know when these were updated for each town? And
Oh, for each.
That-
That I don't know, some of the ordinances are decently old, don't quote me, one of them is from like 2021. And then others are older. I was speaking to a couple of the towns and they were like, once you finalize your new numbers, please send them. Because we also want to update ours, but nobody, wants to be the first. So,
Understood.
Right.
And the last time we updated these was not that many years ago. What year?
22?
22.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the last time and ours were
Really?
badly behind then. And I think we didn't raise them as far as we perhaps should have, but I think it was out of a overabundance of caution. We didn't want to go too fast, I guess. Perhaps we should have gone harder, but there was quite a bit of back and forth when we discussed those numbers. Anything else on this?
No, thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
Moving on to the sign committee update. What I was gonna say, despite Jean's skills at getting the age-friendly committee together in August, every time I tried to reach out to someone, everyone was on vacation. So the sign committee still consists of a single person, but I will be chasing people down so we get a couple more people on that, so we can move forward on that. It's August is always a difficult time to get in touch with people. To be fair, you've lined people up for that meeting in July. You were not trying to reach them in August. And that is, where did I put that there? Here it is. And that is it for all business. Moving on to vouchers. We have a very short voucher list. Have any-
vouchers.
Thank you, Jean. Is there a second?
Okay.
It's a single line.
Yeah,
I'll second.
All right, John
got it, yeah.
Ben Blicker seconded it. Is there any discussion of the vouchers? Hearing none, could I have a vote, please?
Squire,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes,
Herb. Yes. Howard,
Yes.
Tomco,
Yes.
Branson,
Yes.
Stenblicker,
Yes.
Ethel.
Yes. Before we get to council representative report and environmental commission report and all those good things, I did want to mention a few things. One, the planner, which, yes, is in the packet. So, yes, I was at the proposed bylaw change meeting on July 28th. The effect of that proposed bylaw change for NJPO was that they changed the structure for membership. Previously, it has been a tiered membership where you could have individuals, or you could have the planning board, but not the, I don't remember. It was way too complicated. But one of the ways that they have solved, and this has given them a headache in distributing the planner for years, they are now, it's a single thing. Either your borough belongs to it or they don't belong to it, which means the fee has come up just slightly, but we're also not nickel and diming all over the place, which will make it much easier for everyone to access this, hopefully. I am going to raise a point with them that the May, June issue, which had deadlines in it that were at the end of July, showed up in my mailbox, because since I'm on board, they mail it directly to me. It showed up in my mailbox today. So I am going to make a point with them that, A little more timely, might be a little handy if the May, June issue didn't hit mailboxes at the end of August with July deadlines in it. But move forward slowly. We've made an improvement there. Also, actually, you might wind up talking about that, so I'll let, who wants to go first? Environmental Commission or Council?
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead. What you got?
Okay, let me just read, Brad just sent me a note here. I was asking. Okay, so we've applied new mulch in the Borough Park to get up to or comply with insurance standards. It turns out, when the insurance company looks at these kind of things, because the thickness of mulch is tied, I guess, to injury rates. So that's happening within the next 2 weeks. And new fitness equipment should also be in there in November. So that's good news. Now, at the next council meeting on September 3rd, we are going to be considering the cannabis ordinance, which was developed 2 years ago by a subcommittee. And it's been obviously, council hasn't taken it up since then. But the benefit of waiting has been that a lot of people have gone before us. There's been a lot of experience. So we're going to consider retaining a specialized counsel who has been involved in a lot of the not necessarily litigation, but a lot of the process that's been going on around development of ordinances in particular. So we'll get the benefit of the last 2 years of experience. So we'll have, I think, a better ordinance than we would have started out with. And the ordinance prescribes where a cannabis business would be permitted or not permitted by zone. The other part of it is an application where we ask the applicant to present information about their business, and we do a personal interview with them and make a decision. It's, as you can well imagine, if you don't know already, this is a complicated process. So basically what the municipality will do, if we get if this goes forward, if it gets approved, we would, and people submit an application, it would be reviewed by a subcommittee, and then council would decide whether or not to endorse the application, right? These, and I'm speaking simply hypothetically right now, until it's actually finalized and voted on, it goes into effect. But in principle, this is generally how it's been working. Let's put it that way. This is how it's been working in our municipality, how it works, generally speaking. The council endorses the application, then the applicant uses that to get what they need from the state. And then they come back and go through the planning process in the town and whatnot. So, this is part of an initiative that council's taking to look for ways to raise revenue outside of property taxes. That's why you've been hearing, if you've been paying any attention to what's on Frenchtown Facebook page, there's been a running commentary about parking meters. And there's one other thing which we've been talking about. I can't. So that's the
Thank you.
big
John,
news.
as part of revenue raising, I know there had been some discussion, I think it was even before I was on the board, about fees for Airbnbs. Is that still alive?
It's a good question. It's not something which we've something on the order of $1 billion in a facility in the former Fort Monmouth area. They're building a large production facility there. So hopefully, that'll lead to more,
Filming around about the state.
around about this area. And if you saw the Bob Dylan biopic last year. Part of it was Newport was in or near Cape May. Yeah.
The, just, by way of going back, the Airbnb, last time the planning board looked at that, the couple ordinances that had been introduced in the state had all been shot down. So we were, a lot of, the word that we had from planners is all the planners were waiting for somebody to get it right so we could copy. But I think some have now gotten it right.
Yeah,
and
Jersey
these are-
City's
these are-
gotten it right.
And these are going forward and they're not being
Yeah.
challenged. So
Yeah.
this would be a good time for us to perhaps take a look at that again. Because yeah, it was, there were municipalities, they were putting in Airbnb ordinances and they were being deemed illegal, unconstitutional.
Plus, I
et cetera, et
suspect
cetera,
it's
et cetera.
something that's less controversial with residents.
Yeah,
So is that something council needs to take initiative on?
we can, planning board can
Or
take a
planning
note on that.
can take
I
initiative?
can talk with Darlene on that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
I mean, she probably knows them, but they're alumni, but, I know the finance insurance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she can work all that stuff quite easily. Is that, so that's it from council?
Yes.
Nothing about Riverfest?
Oh. Thank you for reminding me, Chairwoman.
And the mule's back in place?
Oh. Yes, well. And very nice ceremony. The local artist group worked together to restore it. And it's
Tricia
beautiful.
did a beautiful job
Yeah, it's
redoing
really,
Barry's
really
artwork on it.
And it's got, there was I think River Union Stage, maybe they posted the video on their webpage or YouTube. They talked about the history where this project came from. It was like 150 mules
Mhm.
done in this project all along the river. Of course, we don't have a canal on this side of the river, and the
Thank
Tailback is
you.
actually a railroad embankment, but it's
That's
okay.
okay.
We get the mule, so we'll take it. Yeah, so Riverfest is Sunday. And what are the hours?
11 to 7.
11 to 7, yeah. And you know, I haven't looked at the weather, but if it's anything like this week or last weekend, it's gonna be very busy, which is great.
And I heard the pedestrian way across the bridge opened at 12:30 today.
Did it really?
Oh,
So you can't drive both ways on the bridge,
Yeah.
but the rumor has it that you can walk both ways across.
yes.
it.
Yeah, there's a message board there now that
Okay,
invites people to cross it if they want.
good. It looked, I know the plan was to make it wider, but I've been driving over, it doesn't look like it's wider. I wonder if.
No, they're not done that
Not
part
yet,
yet.
the guardrails.
Yeah, the guardrails haven't been painted or
It's gonna
touched,
be
so
7 inches wider.
The
Because
walkway,
they're gonna change the guardrails. The guardrails.
they're gonna make the guardrails
So if-
narrow.
so if you,
smaller.
I think that just narrow it,
Right.
because if you look right now, they've painted a lot of stuff, those guardrails just have a little bit of.
Yeah, they got the screen paint on them from
Yeah,
there.
go for
From the other,
Yeah.
from the other project, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think they're still gonna replace this.
Ah, interesting, that's how they're making it wider.
There are gonna be some guardrails on sale on eBay, really inexpensive.
It's a little bit of paint on.
Yeah, I thought the actual walkway was gonna be significantly wider.
It's a foot or 14 inches wider.
It is, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Even 7 inches would be a welcome.
Oh, yeah,
I agree.
right.
Not a rear
The
view mirror,
clearance?
I agree.
Ah, come on,
Great.
it's not, I know people complain all the time.
So now you're done. Now that I
Yes,
prompted
I
you on
am.
several
Thank you.
things. Ted, have you got anything from the environmental
I
commission?
was just gonna say the environmental commission will have a booth at the Riverfest. I think we're gonna be at the corner of Sunbeam. Lenape, so stop by.
So,
I won't be
Zilla.
there, but I mean, I'll stop by, but I won't be manning the booth.
There was, I should report, there was a meeting of the Open Space Committee, which I was surprised to discover I was on.
What is that?
So, well, that's a really good question, Jean.
Okay.
But this was a small group that was put together to discuss what's going to happen with the Thompson track.
Oh.
So the Thompson track,
That's it. Sure it was relevant.
for those of you that are not aware, that's the piece of land between, pretty much between Creek Road and Ward Street. behind the houses on Ward Street, and then it wraps around, Hilltop up there. So there was a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and it was I and two members of the Environmental Commission and several members of the community that live up along the Ward Street roads. And we walked through with an engineer from Colliers. It was actually, I thought he was an engineer, it was actually a landscape architect. He listened to what folks had to say. I was busy pointing out plants and interesting insects on the property, and the Environmental Commission folks had done a really great job already laying out some proposed trails. Anyhow, so that's moving forward. Darlene's going to be putting forward a report on that. The budget is not very large for this project, but the first thing is to get some access to that so that it can become a feature. I know the Environmental Commission is concerned about making sure that we also, as am I, concerned with making sure that we preserve unique natural features and unique natural populations of plants and creatures that are on that property.
I think
But
there's
it-
some confusion maybe because of the name.
Mhm.
I wonder if it should be the Thompson Track Committee.
Well, what it should be, is, and this is a bit of a joke, but a friend of mine was telling me something about, you know, if you have a child in the hospital and you don't name it within like 2 weeks, eventually the hospital gets to name your child. We really need to name that piece of land something other than the Thompson Tract, you know,
Well, that's a way to
needs-
raise revenue.
it needs a,
Mhm.
it needs a name. But we weren't really focused on that. We were focused on, what is there, you know,
There's just like a couple of people have asked me about it, and they seem to think it was like planning a whole big open
Yeah.
space
no,
element.
no, this was simply, folks that were familiar with the property and or familiar with what was on the property, talking with this so that we could get some trails started in there, get some parking, get some access started there so that this can be, used by the community. And what we might want to do with that and the general sense of the committee, which is what I've always heard from the folks in Frenchtown since I've lived here, is that that would be for passive recreation. That would be for hiking. We're not talking, you know, there's no recommendation that was made by the committee or, to my knowledge, anyone else that we're going to turn that into basketball courts or tennis courts or a golf course up there, or anything like that. So we're just talking about some trails.
That's fine.
So now I am.
So that's the only other thing I think that I had. If anyone else has anything else.
I have something I think just to, I don't know, just to bring it up for future discussion, especially with Darlene. It's been, this will be talked about, you know, what is the open space committee? What does the environmental group do? What's a waiver? What's a variance? We've had some really good examples lately, you know, following the, we're talking about property taxes, Brad's publication of where the money all goes and what that's for was very well received and I think very useful and something that was, he's not here, but I'd like to commend him for doing that. Darlene's presentation, affordable housing, what it is, what is it, how that works, really, really good. I've been always intrigued by the fact that, what is it, 70% of Frenchtown is pre-existing non-conforming with zoning. And so anybody wants to do anything, it's gotta be a waiver, a variance. How does that all work? What's that, why? I think it would be really nice for the planning committee to produce something that says, here is the status of zoning. You know, how many zones are there? What do they mean? It's just the basics, as Randy was pointing out.
Why
You know,
is our zoning the way it is?
Yeah,
Right now?
and what does that mean? And because so much, you know, people just want to do something which intuitively seems somewhat basic, but they have, I mean, Sam print through all the fees, it's complicated, it's like, I'm just doing this, why is this such a big deal? My neighbors got this, I didn't, because, you know, things are so pre-existing non-conforming, it's easy for people to think that things are arbitrary, right? Because this was approved, that wasn't, they seem like the same thing. So I think by being proactive and coming up with some sort of, here's the story with zoning in Frenchtown, I think might be a real useful thing for this group to do.
I can look into, I'll touch base with NJ, see if they already have something that we can just basically flesh out
Yeah.
from that. Because one of the things, you know, to your point about, many of the houses on numbered streets in Frenchtown do have, non-conforming issues, but the zoning was put in to not make those problems any worse. Basically, you know, we have, I'm up on the hill, but I have a property line which is 3 inches from the neighbor's property, you know, and I'm not sure they would want me to build another building 3 inches from the property. It's an outbuilding. Is an existing non-conforming? Yes. Does that mean that the neighbor would like me to just sail along and build a building all the way down that side of the property that's 3 inches from the property line? Probably not. So a lot of the zoning went in place to not make problems any worse in an already congested part of Frenchtown. But the point to your point, explaining that, because you're right. If so much is non-conforming, then why do we have the zoning? Is a good one. But I will touch base with NJPO and see if they have a template. I don't know that they do, but they might.
Yeah. that'd be great.
They're handy souls. And if they do, then we can work off that, which might be a great way to explain a lot of these zoning concepts and then personalize it for Frenchtown.
Great.
It's a good idea. Anything else? Hearing nothing, is there a motion to
I
adjourn?
will make a motion to.
Thank you, Jean. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, there we go, John. Because it's past your bedtime.
It is.
Somebody's bedtime.
That's somebody's bedtime. All right, very good. Thank you, everyone. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.